Good evening, I'm Steve Chansley.
And I'm Olivia Calfee. Strong storms are possible tomorrow across Kentucky, and our weekend will begin on a windy note. Let's check in with meteorologist Evan Hatter for the latest on this first alert weather day. Evan?
Well, Olivia, that's right. We continue to watch the potential for strong to severe thunderstorms in the region. Not necessarily within the next 24 hours, but just a little beyond that. That's when the severe weather risk will be the greatest as we head into the day on Friday. Strong to severe storms in place. That's during the evening and late evening and into the overnight hours. After that, that's when we see the strong gusty winds. Overall, the threat is not off the charts. It's a level 2 slight risk just east of I-75 and points off to the west. Everybody else in the level 1 marginal risk. Tornado threat rather low, but never zero. The large hail threat is pretty close to zero. High winds are by far the greatest threat, and it's closer to the moderate category. And that flooding threat is pretty low, even though we do have a slight risk for heavy rain through the region. That's tomorrow. Tonight, it's nice outside. Into the low to mid 60s right now. Still plenty of sunshine out there. Not even that many clouds. There's the view from our Pineville Medical Center camera. Temperatures in the middle and upper 60s. Some folks making a run at 70, but for the most part, we'll be further to the south is where we'll see those 70s. Your forecast first this evening. Next 12 hours, we don't drop a whole lot. Only into the upper 40s to near 50, though some spots, depending on how fast the cloud cover moves in, could drop a little faster. Guys, I'll have the very latest on when we see the storms start to move in just a few minutes. Guys?
All right, Evan, thank you. 9 people were killed in a crash involving 2 Army Black Hawk helicopters in western Kentucky.
The helicopters were conducting a nighttime training exercise when the scene turned tragic. CBS's Skylar Henry reports from Washington.
The Army provided preliminary details of the deadly crash of 2 helicopters during a Wednesday night training mission.
At approximately 10 p.m. last night, 2 of our Black Hawk helicopters were involved in a crash during a planned training flight in Haiti, Kentucky, that resulted in the death of all 9 service members aboard the aircraft.
Officials say the medical evacuation helicopters belonging to the 101st Airborne Division crashed in a field near a residential area about 30 miles northwest of Fort Campbell. There were no reports of injuries on the ground.
We'll immediately initiate an investigation to help us understand what caused this crash in order to prevent accidents like this from happening again.
Last month, 2 National Guard members were killed when their Black Hawk went down along an Alabama highway.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin issued a statement saying he's saddened by this latest tragic loss, adding that he's working to make sure troops and families receive the care that they need in the wake of this accident.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear paid tribute to the fallen soldiers.
We are blessed to live in the freest country in the history of planet Earth, but we must remember that that freedom relies on those who are willing to serve, some of which pay the ultimate price.
One of the helicopters had 5 soldiers on board and the other had 4. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
The name of the victims are being withheld until their next of kin are notified.
Police say they responded to a report of a shooting at a North Carolina community college this morning. Winston-Salem police tweeted that they received a report of a shooting at Forsyth Tech Community College around 10:10 a.m. and officers were on the scene on the main campus shortly afterwards. The campus was on lockdown and there were reports of 2 suspects. There's no immediate reports of any injuries, though.
Hundreds of people came together in Nashville last night for a citywide vigil honoring the 3 school workers and 3 9-year-old children who were killed Monday at the Covenant School. Earlier in the day, First Lady Jill Biden visited the growing memorial to the victims. CBS's Janet Shamlian has more from Nashville.
Welcome to Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville turned to what it's best known for, music.
There's a better home awaiting.
In hopes of healing after unfathomable tragedy.
Our police officers have cried and are crying with Nashville and the world.
City leaders, victims' families, and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden gathering Wednesday to mourn the 6 lives lost.
Nashville has had its worst today. Our heart is broken, our city united. As we mourn together,
and recognized the officers who ran toward the gunfire to stop the shooter.
We are grateful to the team of officers who rushed into that school building without hesitation.
Just before the vigil, Dr. Biden visited the memorial outside the Covenant School, pausing at each victim's photo before leaving flowers. The growing tribute has become a place of comfort.
You can feel the sadness in the city right now. It's really overwhelming.
We're hurting right now, pretty badly.
City Council member Russ Pulley represents Covenant's district. He says staff members died trying to protect the kids.
Catherine Kuntz heard the shots, ended the Zoom call immediately, and abruptly left that meeting and left her office.
Police officers found Kuntz's body just outside her office.
Would it surprise you to learn that she had gone out and confronted an active shooter?
Oh no, I would absolutely expect that from Catherine Kuntz and principals. That's what educators and administrators do. They protect their children.
We're now learning more about some of the other victims, including 9-year-old Hallie Scruggs. Her aunt posting on Facebook, she was incredibly smart and had a love for life that kept her smiling. Janet Shamlian, CBS News, Nashville.
Police say 7 people were shot and 2 died at a restaurant in Tennessee last night. The shooting happened at Prive Restaurant a little after closing. 2 male victims were found at the scene. One was pronounced dead. The other was taken to a hospital where he later died. 5 additional victims, 4 males and a female, arrived at hospitals by private vehicles. Officials say the shooting stemmed from an altercation inside the establishment.
A large crowd of protesters gathered at the Tennessee State Capitol today calling for stricter gun laws. Protesters could be heard chanting, quote, "Do your job" and "gun control now." They also chastised Tennessee Governor Bill Lee and Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn, shouting, quote, "Marsha, shame on you." Russia has arrested an American reporter and accused him of spying.
CBS's Nicole D'Antonio has more from the White House.
Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich was taken out of a Moscow courthouse after being charged as a spy and ordered to be held until at least the end of May.
We are immensely concerned over Russia's announcement that it has detained a U.S. citizen journalist.
Gershkovich was arrested hundreds of miles east of Moscow. Russia's security forces accused him of acting on behalf of the American government to collect information about the Russian military-industrial complex. The Wall Street Journal says it vehemently denies the allegations from the FSB and seeks the immediate release of our trusted and dedicated reporter Evan Gershkovich. Yaroslav Shershigov says Gershkovich had recently interviewed him, and they discussed Yevgeny Prigozhin, the owner of the infamous Wagner group of mercenaries fighting for Russia in Ukraine. Prigozhin was asked about the detained American journalist and said he knew nothing about it, but joked that people could search the torture chamber in his home. The White House says it is working to free Gershkovich. It also condemned Russia for detaining another American citizen.
This espionage charges are ridiculous. The targeting of American citizens by Russian government is unacceptable.
The administration says it is unsafe for Americans to be in Russia at this time and urged U.S. citizens to leave the country as soon as possible. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, the White House.
The State Department would not say whether Gershkovich's arrest was done as a retaliation tactic. Just last week, the Justice Department arrested a Russian national and accused him of being a Russian spy who entered the U.S. illegally. A journalist is not the only American stuck on foreign soil. Today, the U.S. State Department confirmed 2 U.S. citizens were kidnapped in Haiti.
Very few details have been released about this, and there is no word yet on who kidnapped the Americans or why, but officials say the U.S. is working with Haitian authorities to free those U.S. citizens.
Our embassies and consulates abroad have no greater priority than the safety and security of U.S. citizens overseas. I can confirm the kidnapping of 2 U.S. citizens in Haiti. We are in regular contact with Haitian authorities and will continue to work with them and our U.S. government interagency partners, but I don't have any other specific updates to offer at this time.
Do you know?
CBS News has learned Jacob Chansley, the man known as the QAnon shaman, is out of prison early. Chansley is now in a halfway house in Safford, Arizona. In November 2021, he pleaded guilty to a federal charge of obstruction of an official proceeding for his part in the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Chansley was initially sentenced to 41 months in prison with a release date of July 2023. But federal prisoners have the ability to earn reductions in sentences through the course of their time behind bars. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, millions of unclaimed dollars sitting in the bank, and some of it could be yours. How you can find out if you're entitled to free cash with just a few clicks.
And severe weather potential is on the way as we head toward the weekend. The very latest coming up after this.
WYMT News app offers alerts on breaking stories as they happen, customized